More than 4 decades ago, a war began without ever being officially declared. A war with no armies facing each other on a battlefield, yet one that reshaped the entire Middle East. It is the conflict between Iran and Israel, with the involvement of the United States. This conflict has unfolded through revolutions, proxy wars, intelligence operations, and nuclear diplomacy. To understand how this rivalry began, we must go back to a time when Iran and Israel were actually allies.
During the 1950s, Iran was ruled by Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The Shah was one of Washington's closest allies in the region. After the 1953 coup supported by the Central Intelligence Agency and MI6, Iran became a pillar of Western influence in the Middle East. At the same time, Israel was largely isolated in a hostile Arab environment. So Israel adopted a strategy known as the Periphery Doctrine. The idea was to build alliances with non-Arab regional powers like Iran and Turkey. During this era, Iran and Israel developed strong intelligence and military cooperation. Iran supplied oil to Israel, while both nations shared strategic interests against common adversaries. But this alliance would not last.
In 1979, everything changed. A cleric returned from exile in Paris. His name was Ayatollah Khomeini. Millions welcomed him in Tehran. Soon after, the monarchy collapsed and the Islamic Republic was declared. The new regime adopted a radically different ideology. It strongly opposed both the United States and Israel. The Israeli embassy in Tehran was closed and handed over to the Palestinian leadership. Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat became one of the first foreign figures to visit revolutionary Iran. But an even bigger crisis was about to erupt.
On November 4, 1979, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. They took 52 American diplomats hostage. The crisis lasted 444 days. It became known as the Iran hostage crisis. From that moment, relations between Iran and the United States collapsed. Iran soon emerged as one of Washington's main adversaries. But the confrontation with Israel was about to intensify in another arena, Lebanon. In 1982, Israel invaded Lebanon in what became known as the 1982 Lebanon War. The operation aimed to eliminate Palestinian militant groups. However, it produced an unexpected result. Within Lebanon's Shiite community, a new movement emerged. Backed by Iran, Tehran deployed members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to train local fighters. Out of this environment, a new organization was born. Its name was Hezbollah. The conflict between Iran and Israel had entered a new phase, a proxy war. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, the confrontation expanded through covert operations and attacks. Major events included the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing that killed more than 240 American soldiers. Israel later assassinated Hezbollah leader Abbas al-Musawi in 1992. In response, groups linked to Iran carried out attacks abroad, including the bombing of the Israeli embassy in Argentina. The conflict had gone global. After the death of Ayatollah Khomeini in 1989, the Iranian Revolution did not end. It evolved. A new leader emerged, calmer in tone, but equally firm in vision. The supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. At that moment, Iran was no longer focused solely on defending itself. It began shaping a much larger project. A project that extended beyond its borders, deep into the Middle East. Instead of confronting Israel directly, Tehran chose a different path, a path of indirect warfare. Iran started building a complex network of allies and armed groups, not a conventional army, but a web of influence, ideology, and loyalty. This network would later be known as the Axis of Resistance. an axis without clear borders and without traditional rules of engagement. At its core stood Iran. Surrounding it were layers of strategic power. In Damascus, Syria served as a key ally, providing geographic depth and political backing. In southern Lebanon, a new force arose, Hezbollah. More than a militia, it became a powerful military actor capable of confronting Israel directly. Meanwhile, in the Palestinian territories, Iran supported groups like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, opening yet another front in the conflict. And so, the war was no longer a direct confrontation between two states. It became a network of conflicts, stretching across multiple fronts, from Lebanon to Gaza to Syria. A war that is never officially declared, yet never truly ends. A war fought through proxies, but with very real consequences. And with that, the conflict entered a far more dangerous phase, a phase known as the Shadow War.
In the 2000s, the conflict gained a new dimension: Iran's nuclear program. Israel views a nuclear-capable Iran as an existential threat. Iran insists its nuclear program is peaceful. In 2015, a historic nuclear deal was signed between Iran and world powers. But in 2018, the United States withdrew from the agreement. Tensions quickly escalated again.
Today, more than 40 years after the Iranian Revolution, the conflict between Iran and Israel continues. But it is no longer a conventional war. It is a shadow war, fought through proxy forces, covert operations, cyber warfare, and nuclear diplomacy. A conflict born from revolution that may still reshape the future of the Middle East.